So hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in this video I'm gonna show you how I built this DIY 3D printer. So it's been more than 3 to 4 months I'm using this printer. Most of the parts are customized. So let's get started. For the mainframe I'm using 2020 aluminium profile. Sizes are mentioned on the screen. For joining all the aluminium rails I'm using corner brackets and M5 nuts and bolts. So this is the base. Now we're gonna make the Z-axis. This is the Y slider. So these are handmade PVC holders for the 8 mm smooth rod I'm using for the Y-axis. Also the bearings are LM8UU linear bearings which are also 8 mm. On the bottom of the slider I'm also adding some customized PVC handmade bearing holders. Now I have attached all the bearings. Just to make sure everything fits well, and the slider is sliding easily. Don't forget to align those smooth rods with the base frame and the slider. So this is the test run of the slider with a normal NEMA 17 motors. Now this is for the X-axis. So for temporarily I am using zip ties for holding the linear rails and the bearings. Later I will change all those with 3D printed parts. This is the X-axis motor holder. In this side also I'm using zip ties for holding those linear rods and the linear bearings. So after assembling all the parts of the frame, the 3D printer looks like this. So the X-axis slider also made with PVC sheets. So this is the modified control board, which will work with the STM32 controller as the main compute. So this red ramps CNC board is for the Arduino Mega, but as the Arduino Mega is very slow, so I modified that board for the STM32, which works on 3.31. And this is the Raspberry Pi 3 variant. So I have attached a charger and a cooling fan and a buck converter with it. These are some old motors from printers. So we have to first remove the pinion gear from the motor shaft. For that I'm just disassembling the motor. After removing the motor pinion, I will reassemble this motor. So I'm going to use 4 of these NEWA 17 motors, 2 for the Z-axis, 1 for the Y-axis and another one for the X-axis. I'm using GT2 6mm pulleys and belts for all of the axes. For the hot end, I'm using a normal 12 volt 40 watt heater with a 100K thermistor and also some old CPU cooling fans for cooling the hot end heat shrink. This is a test run. I have already attached all of the motors. So the software I'm using is Klipper, which is running on the Raspberry Pi itself. Now it's time for the extruder. So I'm using the extruder kit. So I'm using 2x4 Bowden tubes, as I'm gonna use 1.75 mm filaments. So these are some test prints. This is the extruder holder. So I'm going to mount the extruder setup on the top of the printer. So for the extruder, I'm using a heat sink with a cooling fan to cool it down. So these are the bed holders. So as the print bed, I'm using a 3 mm clear glass plate. So this holder has a very simple adjustable mechanism. So as the hot end needs a cooling fan for the heat sink, so I have printed this part also.